The Bellator Champions Series begins this weekend on Friday with a new home, first and foremost, on HBO Max, formerly known as, I should say, now known as Max. All of the Bellator events for 2024 will be broadcasted on there, including the first one, Bellator Belfast, going down in Northern Ireland. We have two championship fights and a guaranteed number one contender fight, the Bellator Champions Series, where a title fight, at least one, is guaranteed on all 8 events throughout the year. And it starts on Friday with the light heavyweight division's vacant championship, and then the featherweight title is up for grabs in the co-main event. The 34-year-old 15-fight UFC veteran will look to become champion in Bellator this Friday, Cory "Overtime" Anderson. The only loss for Anderson inside the Bellator cage was to the former champion, Vadim Nemkov. He has vacated the light heavyweight title. He has moved to the heavyweight division, and we saw him compete in the very first PFL versus Bellator card, where he got a victory over former PFL champion Bruno Capelozza. But outside of that lone defeat in Bellator, Cory Anderson has looked great, including victories over Phil Davis and Ryan Bader, another former Bellator champion. And let's not forget the no contest in the very first matchup that he had with Vadim Nemkov, because it looked like Cory was on his way to getting a victory before an accidental head clash caused the fight to end in a no contest. But now he will look to right the ship and become a major promotional MMA world champion. He didn't get to do it in the UFC. He was always close. He was always a relevant top 10 contender, but never rose to the occasion quite enough inside the UFC cage. But now Cory Anderson can make it all right by becoming a Bellator light heavyweight champion. To do so, he'll have to take out the undefeated in Bellator, Karl Moore, from Belfast, Ireland. After numerous fights in the Cage Warriors organization, a very prominent international promotion, Karl Moore entered the Bellator cage in 2019 for the first time and has tallied off a 4-0 perfect record inside the promotion. He had a near 3-year to the day layoff between his first fight in September of 2019 and his second fight in Bellator in 2022, but he did remain active last year, getting 2 victories in 2023, including a top 10 victory over Alex Pelosi. The 32-year-old will look to get the job done over the UFC veteran and now Bellator veteran Cory Anderson, pick up the biggest win of his career, and become a Bellator champion. And in the co-main event, we have what many people believe to be the face of Bellator, Patricio Pitbull, taking on Jeremy Kennedy. Pitbull will look to defend his 145-pound throne. Pitbull has fought for Bellator for nearly 14 years, dating back to April of 2010, the most seasoned veteran that they have ever had, and that is why he is the face of their promotion. And honestly, it feels like he has been for quite some time. The 36-year-old Pitbull has been a featherweight world champion prior to his current stint. He's been a lightweight champion. He's went down to 135 pounds to try and become a three-weight world champion. Sergio Pettis did halt those desires, and a matter of fact started a losing streak for Pitbull, as he did lose in the Bellator versus Ryzen co-promoted event last July as well. He got knocked out in the first round. So Pitbull's last victory actually came December 31st of 2022, nearly a year and a half since he last tasted victory, and that could be a reason why he is the betting underdog against Jeremy Kennedy, the rising number one contender. The 31-year-old Canadian Kennedy is actually not only a 4-fight UFC veteran, and by the way, he went 3-1 in the promotion, with the only loss coming to featherweight great Alexander Volkanovski. He also competed in the 2019 season of the PFL. And now with 5 Bellator fights under his belt, dating back to November of 2020, he has amassed a record of 4-1 in the promotion, with the only loss coming to Adam Boric back in April of 2021. Since then, he's rallied off 3 straight victories over Emmanuel Sanchez, Aaron Pico, and Pedro Carvalho. These two have combined for 65 professional fights. Both are ultra well rounded and have a vast skill set in the cage, and that is probably why the odds are so close. But again, it has to be said that the Patricio Pitbull, the current champion, the multiple weight class world champion, the face of the Bellator promotion, is coming into this fight as the betting underdog. I may be sniffing out an underdog bet on the bet slip this coming weekend. And as I mentioned off the top, the featured bout of the evening is between Fabian Edwards, brother of the UFC welterweight champion Leon Edwards. He will be taking on Aaron Jeffery. The winner is guaranteed a shot at the champion Johnny Eblen when he is ready to come back from recovering from his bout in the PFL versus Bellator card versus Impa Kasanganay. Fabian Edwards has been a prominent name in the Bellator middleweight division for 5 years now, dating back to February of 2019. He has got a record of 7-3 within the promotion, with prominent victories over Lyoto Machida, Gegard Mousasi, and Charlie Ward, and some notable losses as well. He lost to Austin Vanderford at the time when Vanderford looked to be the next big up-and-comer in the promotion and was undefeated, and his other loss was to the champion, Johnny Eblen. That was in September of 2023. Eblen had the biggest performance of his career, where he finished Edwards 21 seconds into the third round. Prior to that, Edwards had rallied off 3 straight victories, and he will look to make it 4 out of 5 and earn a second crack at Johnny Eblen's title. To do that, he'll have to go through the 31-year-old from Canada, 14-4 Aaron Jeffery. In October of 2020, Aaron Jeffery beat current UFC middleweight Andre Petroski, then went on to Cage Fury Fighting Championship to become their champion. So after those 2 very prominent wins on the regional scene, he got a crack on Dana White's Contender Series against now ranked top 15 middleweight Caio Borralho. He lost that fight on DWCS in the fall of 2021, but has now won 4 of his last 5 fights and amassed a record of 3-1 inside the Bellator cage. The only loss coming to John Salter. He's beaten Dalton Rosa, Austin Vanderford, and Fabio Aguirre. So we could get a fresh face and a fresh matchup for the current champion and undefeated Johnny Eblen, or we could see the more prominent name and the guy that's been around for much longer in Bellator, Fabian Edwards, get his second crack at that title. Either way, we're in for a fun championship fight, number 1 contendership spot on the line. And throughout the rest of the Bellator Belfast card, there are not a ton of necessarily big name ranked fighters throughout the promotion, but a ton of European talent and a lot of guys that have a lot of hype, including an undefeated Sierra Clark will be fighting. James Gallagher will also be taking on Leandro Higo during this card, and that could be a very prominent fight. It's in the featherweight division, and it is of importance because the championship at the 145-pound weight class is being defended the very same night. So be sure to tune in Bellator Belfast, what would be Bellator 302, but they are no longer doing the numbers as far as I'm concerned anyway. Sherdog does have it ranked or listed on there as Bellator 302, but I'm going off of the Twitter hashtag from Bellator's Twitter account, and it is Bellator Belfast. Going down Friday. It's an early start time going on at around 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So be sure to tune in if you are able, or catch up later on in the day. Don't forget, it is on HBO Max, now known as Max, so a very big deal there for Bellator to get this deal done. I'm unsure if the prelims will still air on their YouTube channel or not, so we'll have to keep an eye out for that as well. I'll have to try and tune in. That might be one of the only streaming services I don't have at this point, but I guess it's now just another reason to sign up for it. So I look forward to it. Bellator Champions Series. This is the first of 8 events in 2024 for the promotion, not counting the events where they co-promote and have their fighters compete with PFL fighters as well. And a championship fight, or more than one, I should say, is guaranteed on all 8 of these cards, giving us plenty of reason to tune in and see this next wave of Bellator, this new chapter with them in the PFL. Let me know what you think of the Bellator Champions Series in the comments below, and give me your predictions for Bellator Belfast. Who will become the new light heavyweight champion? Will Patricio Pitbull defend his featherweight title? And who will become the number 1 contender for Johnny Eblen's throne at 185 pounds? If you enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new so you never miss breakdowns such as these, where I go into all of the major storylines for every card, every single weekend. How did we get here and what is at stake? Plus a little bit of X's and O's, of course, here and there. I also recap the most meaningful results every single weekend from the biggest mixed martial arts card, and I give my thoughts and opinions on breaking MMA news and fight announcements. Be sure to join the community on social media at the BAJ MMA and follow along on your favorite audio listening platforms such as Spotify, Apple, and many, many more. Any and all support is greatly appreciated. Enjoy the fights this weekend, and I'll see you for the UFC Vegas 89 preview show.